you're an artist, not a mechanic. Coil machine is like a bullock cart. I mean, it will take you from point 1 to point 2 or point A to point B, but the whole ride is messy. It's so much noise and work, and it's not easy. Hello everyone, my name is Sunny Bhanushali, and today I'm going to talk about tattoo machines. And I'm going to talk about specifically about this, why do I recommend rotary machines over the coil machines. Now, back when I started tattooing, I started with a coil machine because back then there was no rotary machine. And the first time when I saw the machine, it was made up of iron and steel, and it looked like a device from a Terminator movie back then when I started. And it was such a heavy, noisy machine. And me being a charcoal artist, I've been working with charcoal and graphite pencil. I used to do a lot of sketching and drawing. When I started with tattooing with that machine, it was really hard for me to move from something which is very light as pencil or charcoal stick to a machine which is vibrating, and there is noise to it, and there is so much mechanism to it, and all the settings and stuff. And because there was nothing back then, so that was the tool. So I started using it, and the more I used, I realized that I'm spending a lot of time tuning it and changing the needles and maintaining the machine, changing the spring plates and all that stuff. After a lot of use, I couldn't work for long hours because the machine was heavy, noisy. You can't work for more than 6 hours. At least for me, it was hard for me to work beyond 6 hours. And so that was a coil machine for me, and that was the only tool available to do the tattoos. And I was struggling hard to focus on my art skills. I was more into tuning the machine and understanding the mechanics of it, and less into the art, because most of the time goes into tuning the machine and setting things up. And the more I used the coil machine, I got better at tuning the machine. And in the tattoo community, I started bragging about it. I'm good at tuning, and I know how to turn any machine into a liner, turn it into a shader or a color packer. And I used to brag about it. Somehow I used to feel proud about it, that I know a lot about tuning it, like changing the settings and doing stuff. But the art was, I was not doing great tattoos, in a way. And so one day I got to attend one of the seminars conducted by Anil Gupta. He is one of the greatest artists I ever know, and he was doing a seminar on portraits, photorealism. And I went there and I saw his setup, and he was using something new. I mean, that is the first time I saw a rotary machine. Honestly, I saw it like before on internet here and there, but not like live, and how actually it works. So I was one of those people, the people who use coil machines, they are proud, coil users, and they somehow hate the rotary machines. I know a lot of people, I was one of them. So whenever I used to see it on the internet, I did not care much. But when I saw Mr. Gupta using it, the machine was soundless. So there was almost no sound, no vibration. It was lightweight, and it felt like it was more like a pen or a pencil, actual, very close to a feeling of a thick pencil, because the machine was light. The weight balance was really different than the coil machines. That machine didn't rest on this part as coil. And then he was using a single liner and 3 liner, which for me was really hard to use it through coil machines. Now, I was one of those artists who was struggling hard in terms of earning as a tattoo artist. So I had just one coil. So every time I bought a coil, it was just like a one coil, which used to break down, and then I used to buy a new one. But this time when I saw that, I went crazy. And the kind of output I saw that night, whatever he did, all the things I learned from him, I came back the next day and I bought that machine. That machine was Stigma Bizarre back then, and I bought it from a local supplier. And the first time I used it, everything changed. Everything changed. Initially, I felt it a little different because I was using coil for maybe around 4 years, and like one day you pick up a coil rotary machine, it's different because you're changing the entire experience. So it was lightweight, and normally in coil machines there is a weight already, right? And in this machine there was no machine weight, and I had to control the weight through my hand. So and there were no tuning stuff, like, so you can't tune much. There was a little cap to adjust the give, but I never touched it, honestly. It was like a medium give all the time. I never tuned it. I mean, there was no setting as such. I mean, no tuning option as such in that machine. It's just machine made for tattooing, no thing, tweaking required. You put the needle, start tattooing, like it's like a plug and play device. And I really loved the machine. That actually changed the course of my tattooing, I'll be very honest. It was that day when I got that machine, I was able to focus more on art and not the mechanism of the machine. And all that bragging about, knowing the coil machines and all that, jazz, that was not needed, because the machine was taking care of itself, and I was supposed to do the art with that tool and not make the tool. So tattoo artists somehow, not all of them, there are few, I was one of them, they love the craft of playing with the coil machine, and suddenly you have a machine, you can't do anything about it, and you have to focus into art. So that is what happened with me. Initially, first 2-3 days it was little different, not difficult, different, like a different experience, but that is the best thing happened in my life in terms of my tattoo career. I started using it, and then I thought I need to try more machines. So I got Dragonfly, and then I started earning well. So I bought a couple of things. I got Bishop, I got FK irons, and then I used a lot of the machines, and I loved all of them. So all of them are best, little different from each other depending on your style. But what did a rotary machine do to me is, it taught me how to manage the hand and not be machine dependent. So the hand pressure, the give, which is this. I mean, if you talk about the skin, I mean, this is also the give to the machine. This, if you put something in between and if you move, it moves, right? So that's the give. So if you hold it tight, you give like a harder give, and if you just loosen it up and let the machine bounce within your grip, that's a soft give. So this is what I learned while using a rotary machine, because I don't have much to tweak. It was all about my hand, and that actually helped me to put more, to develop a better skill set, I would say. So my craft got better, and I was not machine dependent after that. I never touched the coil after that. That was the first time I worked with rotary, and I never touched the coil. I heard a lot of reviews, from different artists, that you cannot get nice bold lines, and you cannot do bigger, Japanese piece and stuff. But I was not doing the Japanese work anyway, and I realized that it is my hand which matters the most. You can tweak your hand pressure, hand movement, and the stroke length is right there with you, with the machine. You can play with it to get whatever you want. And I started using the machine like a tool for drawing. So my drawing canvas was the skin, and tool was the machine, like a pencil, lightweight, easy to handle. Still, I was in that phase that if I want to use multiple needles, the process was same, that I was using a traditional needle, and then how to set up the machine. So it was still time consuming. And then one day I was introduced to one of the machines which I use till date, and one of my local suppliers, who's a good friend of mine, he actually walked in when I was doing a seminar on photorealism, and he handed me that machine and asked me to try it out on the skin. So I think that was really new in India. So I saw that the first time, and I plugged it in and I started working on a tattoo, and till date I have not changed the machine. I'm still using the same machine, not the same piece as such, but the same brand, or the same machine but the newer version of it. And I couldn't think of any other machine after that one. Somehow the moment I used that machine, I felt so connected, or that machine felt like a part of my hand. And there was a nice synchronization, nice understanding between the piece of iron and my hand, my brain. Everything was in sync. And that machine is Cheyenne Thunder. So the first time I used the Cheyenne Thunder, I was flipping out with the kind of output I was getting and how easy it was on the skin. No tuning option in that machine. You can't do anything to it. It's just like a pre-made design machine. It is a fantastic engineering ever done, I think, in terms of creating a tattoo machine. You don't have to think of anything. It's made for all kinds of all kinds of tattoos. When I started working on it, I didn't think of anything else. I mean, it was only art and creativity is what you focus on. You don't have to worry about the tool. So that is something which I experienced when I started using Cheyenne machines. The best part of the Cheyenne machine is it doesn't go with the regular needles, the traditional needles. It comes with the cartridge. So it actually revolutionized the entire industry. So that is where the cartridge system started. I mean, they started it, and it was so easy to change the needles. So how normally the artist works, at least how I was working, is if I'm using a coil machine, I'll put a liner, I'll do the lining bit, and then I will change the machine maybe with a shader. I'll do the shading or the color packing, and that's how I used to do it. So I'll do the entire lining first of the piece, and then I'll change the needle, do that thing. Wherever I'm supposed to use that needle, I will use it. I'll put the third needle and then do it. Because if I keep changing the needle every 10 seconds, then I'm going to waste like half of the time in just changing the needles. The best part of the Cheyenne machine is, this rotary machine is, you have a cartridge system. It takes less than 5 seconds to change the needle. So what exactly it changed in my work is, I started rendering my work. So so there was no this thing where I have to do the lining first and then the other pass and then the third pass. I could actually start from one point and finish it while I'm progressing. So it's more like a pencil sketch. I don't have to just outline it. I can actually render from the point 1 to the last point. And so I could put the liner, do a lining a bit, and then add, just change the shade to a shader, do the shading bit, put some other needle, do the color packing, do this, do that, just keep changing the needles. If you're using like 4 needles, you don't need 4 machines. The cartridge system is such that it takes less than 5 seconds to change it. And that changed my life. So that was another turning point in my career when I started using a Cheyenne machine. And now, why do I recommend rotary machines over coil machines? I mean, if you have not used a rotary machine before, you got to try it for sure. And don't just try it for one day or a couple of minutes. You have to live with it for at least 7 days to understand that what's the difference between your coil and rotary machine, because you cannot use the same style or same way of working with the rotaries, but it doesn't take much time to move. The moment you come on the rotaries, you're going to save half of your life wasting on tuning and doing all that jazzy stuff which is not required. You're an artist, not a mechanic, right? So I think the artist enjoys the freedom of creativity and going through that process of creating something or adding stuff to the designs, so on and so forth. if you end up just changing the needles and using the tools and then tuning it every 3-4 hours, and then that's a hell lot of work. And for what? I mean, you get the same kind of output with the rotary machines with no noise. No noise. I mean, I would say like 99% of the noise is gone. So it is almost soundless, any rotary machine, good one. And no vibration. So there is no, this thing is happening with it, right? It's precise. In fact, because it is driven by a motor, which is, I mean, the good machines are made with great motors. The precision of the needle movement, the up and down, the oscillation is so precise, you can't compare it with the coil machine. Coil machine would require a rubber band and its motion is not linear. The rotary machines will give you a linear motion in terms of needle going up and down. The coil machine will, the armature bar moves like this, so it is never a linear. That's why you need a rubber band around it. It's messy. Coil machine is messy. So personally, I feel that's my personal opinion and my perspective. I respect all the artists who are using a coil machine and they love it, and I respect their perspective. But I personally feel that coil machine is like a bullock cart. I mean, it will take you from point 1 to point 2 or point A to point B, but the whole ride is messy. It's so much noise and work, and it's not easy. And when I use a Cheyenne Thunder, or now I use Cheyenne Thunder and Spirit as, you know, combination of two machines, it's more like driving a BMW 7 Series. It's so comfortable. It is designed for artists. It is designed for comfort and give you that freedom or space to be creative and not a mechanic, right? So that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. This video was just my perception about the coil and the rotary machines, and I shared my little bit of my experience. I respect all of those who love coil machines, but I think especially for the new people who are working with coil machines and who want to progress faster or get better at your work faster, I think you're wasting a lot of time managing the machine. If you try out the rotary machines, pick up any machine, a good rotary machine, can be a Dragonfly, can be a Cheyenne machine, anyone, and you will see the difference. I'm very sure about it. And that's it. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.